This is the Red Baron German battle sword from Lancelot Swords. An amazingly fine cutter. So, to start, kind of a little bit of history on this guy. So this sword was first handed to me at Valley of the Sun about 3 or 4 months ago to use as kind of a sample from Lancelot Swords out in China. Philip Martin handed these to us and had us go chop on some tatami and gave our opinions on how the sword is. An amazing sword. Originally in that video, I'd mentioned that the grip here was super thick, but as I've cut with this more, I found it to be very comfortable. We have a nice cord wrap on the grip there, a beautiful S-guard on the inside, a flat pommel on the back. Sword is about a quarter of a span long, very thin edge. I'm not allowed to tell you how thin that is from specific requests from Lancelot, since he wants to keep all his technology very proprietary. The big selling point on these guys is Lancelot also has a super proprietary sharpening method that he doesn't want anyone to know about. But I can testify that it is a very sharp cutting sword, and a very fine edge that's kept a really good edge. These guys, this one is modeled off of a Katzbalger style sword from the 16th century, I believe, is when these originate, fighting in close pike formations most of the time. And two-handed versions are exceptionally rare. I think I've only seen like 2 or 3 antique versions, even online when I'm looking at stuff. Just about cut myself there. These is a more typical size, little baby one-handed guys. Whoop, I think this is the Kingston Arms version. Great sword. It's just like a cute little backup weapon. Most of them in history were actually a rounded point. So some people will look at this German battle sword, the end here, and say, hey, that doesn't have enough of a tip on it. Historically, most Katzbalgers did not have any kind of a tip on it. We're not sure why. There's a few speculations online. I think they're all inaccurate. I believe it's most likely to do with you're going to be super close. It's meant primarily to swat away, little pikes and get in super close, basically dagger range with people, has 2 pike blocks clash together. So you don't necessarily need a super big point for that. With these guys, it has the S-guard on there. It handles fairly similar to like a longsword would. It's a very similar shape, very similar profile. But for some reason, this one cuts a lot better than pretty much any sword I've ever touched. So this guy, I'll show you some video here. This is the sword that I cut with at Combatcon 2023. And it got me pretty far in the tournament. I think I took 2nd place in that one. This is the VB competition cutter. And this guy doesn't get anywhere close to what I was able to achieve with this Lancelot sword. Lancelot was kind enough to send us 4 different swords for review. This is the first one we're going to be touching. He sent me a couple of other of his swords called Supreme Cutters, and all of these will be used as prizes for the Combatcon tournaments this year. And yeah, beautiful weapon, great cutting sword.